More Humboldt All-Axess. Pleasure to be joined by Landy, skipper of the soccer, the ladies soccer here at Cal Poly Humboldt. Coach, 30 years of soccer, Cal Poly Humboldt, which it's crazy that we're at the 30 mark. And talk about, obviously you haven't been there for all 30 years. You've been in soccer, I'm sure, longer than that.
Yes.
But what it means to the program and the university.
Yeah, I mean, it's a milestone that we really want to celebrate, and we've got some good events planned the next year, but more importantly, we're spending the year profiling a lot of the athletes and coaches that were a part of the 30 years, and so social media, website, we put out our first profile a couple weeks ago, and just want to give everybody a history of the players and the coaches that spent their time and energy building this program up.
Yeah, for me, of course, I think back to the early years, well, maybe not early, that's how long I've been around, but Alan Exley was the coach when I got here. And
I think he did both men and women at one point.
Yeah, well, then BJ did both men and women, I know. And then, when they brought Fred and Paul in, they're like, all right, let's separate it, which obviously, I mean, it's just, I don't think it's fair to the coach or the players to do both. I mean, that's just, we're talking two independent teams. I couldn't imagine that being asked of you or Fred.
Yeah, that's really hard. I mean, we programs that they don't do that much anymore. They used to have like a director of soccer that would do both, but it's really difficult to do it and have high levels on both teams.
But I think it also it tells how far soccer's come, not only in this community, at this university, but here in America.
For sure.
I mean, you would think of doing that now.
Yeah, and we're seeing that growth not only in the college game, but internationally, domestically, especially on the women's side. There's a lot more opportunity. We have several players right now who've graduated in the last 2, 3, 5 years that are still playing overseas. So it's been great.
Talking about opportunity, my understanding is the NCAA is making some changes to the Division I level.
Yeah.
That is going to limit roster sizes, and my 2 cents worth, and people talking to you that are smarter than me say this is going to have an effect on your rosters because there's going to be a bigger talent pool for you to pick from now.
Yeah,
is that the case?
In theory, yes. Okay. There's going to be some players at the Division I level that are going to go into the portal based on the roster limits at Division I. But as far as I know, you have to opt into that, and so it's not going to be every single Division I team because it's going to take a lot of resources to fund that at the highest level. So I think those Power 4, Power 5 conferences, those teams for sure, you'll see them with the roster limits. But yeah, it's something that Colin and I and we've just been kind of monitoring and keep it in the back of our mind. There's windows in that transfer portal, and for the Division I athletes at those levels, I think in April it opens back up again. So, things are definitely changing.
Oh well, yeah, and that's everywhere, right? But with that said, how long have you been around soccer now?
Well,
collegiate soccer.
Collegiate soccer. Well, this will be my 29th year as a head coach.
Okay, so almost to the 30.
Yeah.
What are the biggest changes you've seen for the best and for the worst?
Well, this last 2 or 3 years is really a huge change in regards to building programs. You've seen it across the board with the transfer portal at every sport.
Right.
How many players can you keep and want to continue to build a program, and then when there's other opportunities, there's the ability to get in and see what those opportunities look like. So it's very challenging. I mean, I got into coaching because I wanted to build something special and unique, and and have a good relationship with the players and see them come in as freshmen and graduate as seniors.
Recruit them once.
Yeah, exactly.
Not every year.
Yeah, and so that the mentality of that has changed, and as coaches, we just have to be able to adapt to that.
All right, I always come from the fan perspective. When are we going to get the little more accountability in the transfer portal, let's call it, because I'm a fan of most of the sports, and as a fan, I get tired of seeing new faces every year on all the different teams, all the different sports. I want some consistency. I want to know that Janikowski is going to be back before she graduates, or whatever. I can know that if I go out and watch her team play, I'm going to know the names. Obviously, I've been covering the basketball team for years here, and I got spoiled. Not just the Tom Wood era, but it was a different era of athletics altogether. Guys came in as freshmen, they left as seniors, and now it's, I need a roster every game.
Yeah, I think what I'm hopeful is that I think when things change, things tend to go to the extreme,
right?
And then people start going, oh man, we might not need to put the brakes on this a little bit. And so I'm hopeful that we're seeing the real extreme now, where you can transfer multiple times and save your eligibility. I'm hopeful that in the next couple of years, the NCAA is going to look at this and say, okay, hey, look, we're going to give you this opportunity to transfer, but there's going to within some limitations. And so I don't know what those limitations could be. It could be the number of schools you can transfer. It could be you have to sit out a year. So going back a little bit to what we had before. But yeah, across the board in all sports, it's really difficult to have continuity right now.
I mean, even in pro sports, you can't be a free agent every single year. You got to sign a contract and stick to it. 2 more questions.
Yeah.
First off, what do you have planned this spring for the program? I assume you guys aren't dormant.
No. We couldn't be. Right now, we're in our last segment of playing some futsal and doing some strength and conditioning, and we'll be out on the field for the next 6 to 7 weeks, starting next week. So get some practices in. And in NCAA Division II, you can have 5 playing dates. So we've got a combination of some JC, NAIA, Division II, and Division I opponents. And the spring's really fun and kind of experimental to a certain degree, where you start moving people around and maybe playing some different systems and trying people in different positions. And it's less about the results and more about the development. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
You kind of answered my second question, so I'll make another one. I was going to ask you, what are you doing to get ready to beat Chico in the fall? But that goes without saying. How has analytics come into the soccer game? We see it in a lot of other sports. Has it worked its way into soccer?
Yes, it has, mostly at the higher levels. And if you go and watch an EPL on a Saturday or Sunday morning, they have 10 different coaches there, all with screens in front of them, and they're tracking all that. I'm kind of an old school guy when it comes to that. I feel like relationships and that kind of the backbone of that is going to put you in a place to be successul. And so I haven't delved that much into it. But obviously our stat programs and stuff, we look at all those things after games and try to, if we have 10 chances on goal, we want to get a goal out of it. So we talk about those analytic things. But for me, it's more about just the human part of coaching.
Coach, appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot.
30 years Humboldt soccer. Grant Landy back from the show. Bento Jackson after this. Humboldt All-Axess.